Hey everyone, today I've got 4 of the most disturbing Reddit stories I could find. Subscribe for more, and let's get started. I, 26 Fun Feme, realized a guy at my gym has memorized my entire weekly schedule and watches me during every workout. There's a particular kind of horror that comes with discovering your most private routine. The details you thought were entirely yours, kept close and never shared, has become the obsession of a complete stranger. This is one of those stories. I've been going to the same gym for about 2 years. My routine is locked in. Legs on Wednesday morning, Thursday mornings I'm always there, and sometimes Friday if I'm not too sore. Same exercises in the same order, same time every week. 3 weeks ago, a guy in his mid-30s started showing up. At first I didn't think much of it. New members join gyms all the time. But then I noticed he was doing the exact same exercises as me, in the exact same sequence. Not similar ones, the exact same. And he was there at exactly the same times. I tried to convince myself it was coincidence. Maybe he found the same program online. Maybe our schedules lined up. But then, one afternoon mid-set, he walked over and corrected my form. Not rudely, he gave solid advice, but then he said it casually, like we were friends. You do legs Wednesday, Thursday morning, and sometimes Friday if you're not too sore, right? I froze. My hands went limp. We had never spoken, not once. I've never told anyone at that gym about my schedule, not friends, not family, not online. And this complete stranger knew every detail of my routine better than I did. That was the moment everything shifted. From feeling secure in a familiar place to realizing that familiarity had been weaponized against her. The gym, once a sanctuary, became something else entirely. The coincidence she had been trying to rationalize crumbled the moment she really started paying attention. Once she saw it, she couldn't unsee it. This wasn't random. This was deliberate. This was planned. I started watching him like he had been watching me, and I realized he wasn't just doing the same exercises. He was doing them in the exact same order I did. Not approximately, exactly. If I skipped the leg press because I had done it earlier in the week, he skipped it too. If I decided to throw in an extra set of squats, he would adjust his whole routine on the fly to match mine. It was surreal, like someone had downloaded my workout blueprint into their brain. And then there was the attendance pattern. He showed up every single day I went to the gym. Wednesday mornings, Thursday, sometimes Friday. Whenever I showed up, he showed up. But he wasn't there on the days I didn't come. I went back through my calendar trying to find one exception, just one day where he was there and I wasn't there. Nothing. He was a perfect mirror of my schedule. I started trying to piece it together. We had never even spoken, not one conversation. I asked my friends if they knew him or if anyone had mentioned my gym routine to him. None of them even knew who he was. So how could he know every detail about my schedule? The only answer that made sense. He had watched me. He had studied me. He had learned my entire schedule on purpose. That was the moment the gym stopped feeling like my safe space. It felt like a place where I was being monitored. Everything she had found comforting about her routine, the predictability, the consistency, had become the source of her terror. Someone had been studying her without her knowledge, and now she couldn't unsee it. The gym that had been her sanctuary for 2 years suddenly felt like a place where she was being hunted. So she decided to verify her suspicion in the most basic way possible. She asked people she actually trusted if they knew this guy. I asked my closest friends if they knew this guy or had mentioned my gym schedule to him. Blank stares. None of them recognized his description. None had told him anything. I described what I'd been seeing, how he positions himself to watch me, always angled toward my location, his eyes tracking my movements. My best friend said, "That's not normal." When I posted to Reddit, the responses came instantly. Other women shared their own surveillance stories, men who memorized their routines, showing up at grocery stores and parking lots. Comments emphasized the same pattern. Surveillance like this takes weeks of deliberate, intentional observation. He's been studying me for at least 3 weeks, probably longer. Reading it all, the horror crystallized. He knows my schedule better than I do. He knows my exact movements before I make them. I've been watched the entire time, and I never knew. It's a violation I can't explain to people who haven't lived it. Knowing that you've been cataloged, studied, memorized by a stranger. The Reddit comment section didn't hold back. Validation came from women who had lived through versions of this exact nightmare. The consensus was immediate and terrifying. The gym manager's silence is the scariest part here. If staff members know about him and haven't warned you, either they're protecting him or they're afraid of him. Both scenarios are bad. Leave that gym and file a police report. Weeks of deliberate study. A man who had moved through her life like he owned it, gathering data, learning patterns, watching her body move through space. The realization wasn't gradual anymore. It was complete and terrifying. This wasn't coincidence. This was calculation, and she'd been the unwitting subject of it all along. The original post exploded. Thousands of comments validating her fear. And 3 days later, she was standing in the gym manager's office with proof it was so much worse than anyone had realized. I checked the gym security footage, and now I understand why the manager got so uncomfortable. I saw him at my coffee shop, the one I go to every Thursday after my morning workout. He was sitting there, just waiting. When I ordered my vanilla oat milk latte, the one I always get, he ordered the exact same thing and just watched me. Didn't say anything, just observation, specific, calculated. I took a screenshot and went straight to the gym manager. I expected him to be shocked, stunned. Instead, he went quiet, wouldn't look at me. When I asked him how long this guy had been coming to the gym, the manager said, "I don't know specifics." Not, "I don't know," specifics. That word told me he knew something. It made me furious. So I pulled the gym security footage myself. That's when everything made sense. This man wasn't at the gym for 3 weeks. He's been there for months. Every single day I worked out, he was there too, positioned perfectly so he could watch me without being obvious. The manager has known the entire time. That's why he was uncomfortable. That's why he couldn't meet my eyes. The staff noticed him watching me, day after day after day, and nobody said anything. I've been studied for months, not weeks. He's escaped the gym and invaded my civilian routine. He's at my coffee shop in his observation mode. He's showing me he can find me everywhere. I don't have a safe routine anymore. There is no schedule he can't already predict. Your gym's silence is complicity. They know who he is and they're protecting him or not wanting liability. Get everything in writing. File a formal complaint with corporate, not just the manager. Document everything with dates and times. The fact that he ordered an identical drink at the coffee shop is him showing off. He's telling you, "I know everything about you, even the small things." This is someone who's moved past observation into active intimidation. Exactly this. The gym behavior alone could stretch into coincidence territory, but following her to a secondary location that's not part of a visible routine and ordering her exact order to prove he was watching her there too? That's deliberate escalation. He's showing his hand. That's when they usually try the next step. The security footage didn't provide safety. It provided proof. And proof changed everything. I checked the gym security footage, and now I understand why the manager got so uncomfortable. I asked the gym manager point blank to pull the tapes. What I found made my stomach drop. He wasn't just in the gym those 3 weeks. He was there for 5 weeks before that. August, September, October. Every single session I attended, every exercise, every second I was vulnerable and didn't know I was being studied. I showed the footage to the police. They said they'd document it, but couldn't do much without a direct threat or contact. He hasn't touched me, hasn't spoken to me. He's just watched, memorized, learned. That's somehow worse because it's all legal. So here's what I'm doing. I switched gyms. Different location, different side of town. I vary my schedule now. Mornings 1 week, evenings the next, random days off. No pattern, no routine. I avoid that coffee shop entirely. I park near the exit of wherever I go, keys in my hand before I reach my door. I don't let my guard down. Ever. I don't know if he's still out there. All I know is that he's patient. He spent 2 months studying me without me knowing. That kind of patience doesn't just disappear. He's dormant, waiting, watching for me to feel safe again. and I'm never going back to being predictable. Not paranoid at all. Watching you in the gym is one thing, but appearing at your secondary location and proving he knows your personal drink order? That's predatory. He's testing boundaries. Don't wait for escalation. There's a particular kind of violation that comes from being studied without consent. Not attacked, not threatened, just observed. Your movements memorized by a stranger. And the worst part isn't what he did, it's that he's proven he can wait. He has the patience of someone hunting. Now she carries that everywhere. Safety means eternal vigilance, waiting for her to drop her guard. That's the real haunting. And with that, on to the next one. I, 28 female, found a sleeping bag in my attic filled with photos of my family spanning 2 years. How is this happening? What started as routine attic maintenance became the moment everything changed. A moment she couldn't unsee, couldn't unfeel. She came to r/let's not meet looking for answers, for context, for anything that would help her make sense of what she had discovered. Her family had been watched, documented, year after year, and she was only just beginning to understand how deep this violation went. I'm 28 and I live in what I thought was a secure house with my family. 3 days ago, I was doing some basic attic maintenance, just checking for leaks and organizing storage, when I found a rolled-up sleeping bag tucked behind some old boxes. Nothing seemed weird about finding a sleeping bag in an attic at first, right? But when I unrolled it, I found hundreds of photographs inside. Hundreds. At first, I thought maybe they were old family photos or something, but the second I looked closer, I realized these weren't ours. Or rather, they were of us, but we didn't take them. The photos are all candid shots, dozens and dozens of them, all spanning the last 2 years based on what I can see. That's a lot of photos, and they're not the kind of thing you'd expect to find. These aren't pictures from vacations or family gatherings. These are photos taken from inside our house. Photos taken from windows at night looking in on us, from doorways, down hallways, into bedrooms, into bathrooms. Someone was documenting my family, and whoever did this knew exactly where to stand, exactly what angles to use, exactly how our house is laid out. I don't know what's worse, that someone was inside my home or that they did it for 2 years and we never noticed. I'm sitting here trying to process this and I'm terrified. And as the full horror of what she had discovered settled in, one terrifying question began to take shape. How had no one in her family noticed? What came next was worse than the initial discovery. As the original poster, a 28 female woman, began systematically going through the contents of that sleeping bag, the photographs revealed a nightmare far more deliberate and methodical than she first understood. This wasn't a collection made in passing. This was documentation. 2 full years of meticulous surveillance, organized by date, tracking every private moment her family thought was hidden from the world. I spent hours pulling out every photograph and laying them across the living room floor. I needed to see the whole scope, to understand what we were dealing with. There were 486 images total, spanning exactly 2 years. The dates were written on the back in blue ink. June 2024 going back to June 2022. The subjects made me feel physically ill. There were photographs of my mom showering multiple times, my dad asleep in bed, my younger brother changing his clothes in his bedroom, and me in the shower, getting dressed, brushing my teeth. Some images were taken from outside through bathroom windows at night, grainy but unmistakably our home. Others appeared taken from inside the house, down hallways, into bedrooms, through partially open bathroom doors. But the handwritten notes in the back of certain photos were what broke something inside me. In careful, deliberate handwriting, mother leaves for work 7:42 a.m. Tuesday. Father in master bedroom 9:15 to 9:45 p.m. weeknights. Brother showers every morning 6:50 to 7:10 a.m. Subject in kitchen Saturdays 8 to 8:30 a.m. These weren't captions. These were observations, field notes, routine tracking. This person had been studying us like a researcher. My mom found me sitting surrounded by these images. I didn't know how to tell her, so I just pointed. She made a sound I'd never heard before, something between a scream and a sob. Then my dad came in, then my brother. All of us staring at photographs of ourselves in intimate moments, taken without our knowledge or consent, documented by someone inside our home. We immediately checked every door, every window, every lock. Nothing was forced. No signs of break-in anywhere, no scratches on latches, no broken glass. But he had gotten in somehow. More terrifying still, he might have access. The panic set in fast. My mom was convinced it was an obsessed ex-boyfriend from years ago. My dad wondered if someone who'd worked on our house had stolen a key and been watching ever since. My brother kept saying it had to be someone who'd been inside before, someone familiar with our layout. But none of their theories made sense because they didn't account for the reality. Someone had hidden a full sleeping bag in our attic. Someone had lived inside our home, undetected, for 2 years. That's when I knew we had to call the police. We had to. The realization hit hard. They weren't dealing with a casual collector or a creepy neighbor. Someone had actually lived in their attic. Someone had documented the 28 female homeowner and her family from intimate angles, from showers and bedrooms, capturing them in the most vulnerable moments of their lives. Someone had studied their daily routines with the precision of a predator. And the photographs weren't all old. The recent ones were dated only weeks ago, which meant he could still be out there, still watching, still knowing their schedule better than they knew it themselves. The reality of what those photos meant hit everyone all at once. This wasn't curiosity. This was infiltration. What came next was a desperate search through every corner of the house. I spent the next 3 hours tearing through the house, not just the attic, every closet, every corner. I was looking for cameras, wires, anything that didn't belong. My mom kept checking windows. My dad paced the hallway, alternating between saying it had to be a burglar who stayed one night and arguing it was someone we knew, someone who had been inside our house multiple times without us knowing. My brother refused to believe anyone was ever actually in the house. He thought maybe someone had stolen photos from our phone years ago and printed them. But I showed him the angles, photos taken from inside rooms we don't photograph, from distances and perspectives that required physical presence in our home. I called the non-emergency police line with shaking hands. The dispatcher took one listen to what I was describing and immediately told me not to touch anything else, to keep the bag sealed, and that an officer would be there within the hour. She used words like breaking and entering and stalking. She took it seriously. I remember being grateful and terrified at the same time. The comment section erupted with alarm. Oh my God, this is one of the most terrifying things I've read on here. Someone was living in your attic? How long were they there before you found them? How long was this person actually there? Did anyone ever hear strange noises or notice something off? 2 years is a really long time to hide in an attic undetected. Please tell me you filed a police report immediately. This is not something to handle alone. Your house may still not be secure. We called them within an hour of finding the sleeping bag. They responded quickly and treated it as a serious stalking and breaking and entering case. Officers photographed everything in place, bagged the sleeping bag and journal as evidence, and searched the rest of the house. That's how they found more. Things I hadn't seen yet. The investigation is ongoing, but they found evidence whoever was there had been in multiple rooms, not just the attic. It wasn't random hiding, it was deliberate access. The forensics team arrived within hours of the police call. What they found buried the last hope that this was historical. They found evidence in the walls. I'm not going back to that house. I found a handwritten journal inside the sleeping bag. Pages of observations, times, dates. 7:15 a.m. every workday. My daughter's shower schedule, Tuesday and Thursday evenings around 8 p.m. My husband's bedtime, 10:30 to 11. When we're all gone. When someone's home alone. Work commutes. Window blinds we leave open. This wasn't casual observation. This was study. Methodical. The detective's face went completely white when I showed him the journal. He started photographing every page, calling for the full forensics team to take samples from every corner. Wood shavings, fibers, dust patterns that suggested recent disturbance. Then he pulled me aside in the hallway. The most recent photographs, they're from 3 weeks ago. Not 2 years, 3 weeks. The forensics evidence points to activity far more recent than anything in that bag. The disturbance patterns in the sleeping bag itself suggest it's been moved and hidden as recently as the past few weeks. This isn't a case that went cold years ago. This is active. This person could still be here. Could have been there when we found the photos. Could still be watching us figure this out. The reality hit harder than any photograph ever could. The fact that they kept a journal means they might have other evidence stored elsewhere. Did police do a full search of other areas? There could be more hiding spots in your house. The handwritten journal is the most disturbing part to me. This wasn't random. This was deliberate surveillance. Did the person write about specific family members? Right? That journal detail is what transforms this from creepy intruder into genuinely calculated obsession. The specificity and detail in observations like that suggests this person was studying them methodically, not just hiding. That's premeditation on a completely different level. The house that was supposed to be their sanctuary had become something else entirely. The police investigation continued for weeks, but momentum slowed. No clear suspect, no DNA match. Detectives had theories floating around, nothing concrete. The family was technically safe now, but shattered on the inside, living with questions that would never be answered. They found evidence in the walls. I'm not going back to that house. The forensics team found something in the crawl space between the walls, traces of someone living there. Not just passing through, camping out for extended stretches. Food wrappers, water bottles, a sleeping mat wedged into the darkness. Someone had been inside the house. Really inside the house. The detectives said they couldn't pin down exactly how long, but the evidence suggested months of activity, maybe longer. They escalated it to state police. The thing is, they still don't know who. No fingerprints match anyone in the database, no video footage, no eyewitnesses, nothing that points to an identity. My family is destroyed. My mom can't sleep. My dad installed cameras and alarms, but we're not staying. We sold the house at a significant loss. I couldn't look at the walls or ceilings without imagining someone standing between them, documenting, watching. I'm done talking about this online. I'm deleting this account after this post. I need my privacy back. The one thing 2 years of photographs cost me. I hope they find whoever did this, but I can't live in that house waiting for justice. A violated home is a particular kind of trauma. Children sleeping while unseen eyes documented them through cameras and journals. Intimate moments, showers, bedtimes, conversations, all exposed to a stranger. The not knowing was worst of all. Not knowing how long the intrusion might have lasted without accident discovery. I'm going to have nightmares about this. Someone documenting your family's private moments without consent. That's beyond violating. How are your family members handling it? The case file sits in an evidence room. The house has new owners now, unaware of what happened between those walls. And Attic Discovery 2024 disappeared from the internet entirely, seeking the privacy 2 years of photographs had stolen. On to the next one. I'm 27F, and I've apparently been calling my family every Sunday for 5 years. I don't remember a single call. What would you do if someone told you that you'd been doing something for 5 years without any memory of it? Not just once, not even a handful of times, but hundreds of times. Every single Sunday, like clockwork. No explanation, no memory, just a phone bill that says it was you. That's where this story starts. When the evidence of your own actions is everywhere, but your mind is a complete blank. I'm losing my mind right now. I need to start by saying I have absolutely no idea what's happening with my phone, my life, or anything anymore. My family called me at work on Tuesday afternoon, my mom specifically, and she was acting really strange, really quiet. When I asked what was wrong, she just said, "We need to talk about the calls." I didn't know what she meant. I thought maybe I'd missed an important call or something. We're close. I talk to my brother regularly. We have a group chat with my parents. But Sunday calls? That's not something we do. That's never been a thing with me. Then my mom sent me something. It was a list. Screenshots from her phone showing incoming calls from my number, dated back exactly 5 years. Every single Sunday without fail. 260 plus calls just on her line alone. When I asked if my dad and brother had them too, she sent me more. Calls from me to all of them. Every Sunday, 5 years. Not a single missed Sunday. I told her there had to be a mistake. SIM cloning maybe, or hacking. But she just went quiet and said, "We need to look at your phone." And here's the thing that's killing me. I can't remember a single one of these calls. Not one. I'm terrified. She had to see it for herself. Time Thief 42 pulled up her phone with shaking hands and opened the call logs. There it was. Every single Sunday. Outgoing calls from her number to her mom, to her siblings. Years of them. The numbers didn't lie. I opened my call history like I was defusing a bomb. Every Sunday for the past 5 years, I'm talking 260 plus calls, just like Mom said. All outgoing from my number, all to my family. The first one was exactly 5 years ago to the day. No gaps, perfect consistency. At first I thought, SIM cloning. That's a thing, right? Someone clones your SIM card, uses your number remotely. I pulled my phone apart. No obvious damage. Checked my phone bill. Data matches the call logs perfectly. Same device, same location services pinging on Sundays while I was asleep or at home. There was no second phone, no separate device making these calls. Then maybe my phone got hacked? I changed every password, ran antivirus 3 times, checked app permissions, device activity logs, even dug through my Google timeline. Nothing. No unauthorized logins, no suspicious apps. My phone was clean. But here's what made my stomach drop. These calls lasted hours sometimes, not quick check-ins. One call to my mom from 3 years ago, 47 minutes. Another one to my sister was over an hour. Those are real conversations. Long, engaged calls from someone using my voice on my number. I called my phone company the next morning, held for 16 minutes. The rep checked everything. No service issues, no SIM swaps on their end, nothing flagged as fraud or unusual activity. All the calls logged from your device, she said. You're verified as the account holder. She couldn't help me. The technical explanations dried up one by one. Each door she tried to open just led to another locked room. Somewhere in those call logs was a version of herself making hour-long conversations she had no memory of. The panic wasn't creeping anymore. It was setting in. Desperate for answers, Time Thief 42 decided to confront her family directly. She called each of them, asking point blank about the Sunday calls. What she learned made her stomach drop. I asked my mom first. She said the calls always happened around 10 p.m. on Sundays, and we'd talk for 20 to 30 minutes. She mentioned I'd sounded different, quieter, more withdrawn, and that I asked about things I'd never shown interest in before. I don't go to bed past 10 p.m. on Sundays. I'm always home. I'm always alone. My dad remembered something worse. About 2 years ago, I apparently called him from an airport. He said I sounded panicked and told him someone had followed me there. He couldn't remember which airport. I've never traveled in the last 5 years. I haven't set foot in an airport since college. My sister hit me hardest. She said one call came through at 3 a.m. and I was claiming someone was in the house with me. I was describing things, footsteps, a door opening slowly, someone breathing. My voice, she said, sounded wrong, scared, desperate. I was asleep at 3 a.m. I was always asleep. Every detail they mentioned was something that had never happened to me. Every story was about a version of me that doesn't exist, and they all remembered them perfectly. The family accounts contradicted everything Time Thief 42 knew about herself. Reddit responses split between clinical theories and darker possibilities. Have you seen a doctor? This could be dissociative episodes or something neurological happening. You need to get checked out immediately. This reads like a DID case. If your family remembers actual conversations, either you're blacking out completely or someone is impersonating you perfectly. Both are nightmarish. Have you had your phone professionally checked for cloning or SIM card hacking? I took my phone to a tech guy last week. He said it's completely clean. No cloning, no unauthorized apps, no hacking. That's what made it worse, honestly. He told me the calls have to be coming from another phone using my number somehow, or they're actually coming from my phone, and I have no idea when or how they're being made. OP decided to stop guessing and start asking. She called her family back, not for pleasantries, but for answers. An hour later, she posted an update. I found out where the calls were coming from, and I wish I hadn't. I called each of them separately. I needed specific details, anything concrete. What I got was worse. My sister remembers a call at 3 in the morning. She says I was panicking, whispering, telling her someone was in the house, somewhere they shouldn't be. She says I sounded terrified and kept asking if she could hear something in the background. I have no memory of this call. My dad mentioned an airport call from 2 years ago. He said I called him from a terminal, convinced someone had been following me. He gave detailed descriptions, flight information. I've never been to that airport. Not in 5 years, not in 2 years, not at all. But my brother's memory is what broke something in me. He said during one call I just kept saying my own name, over and over, like trying to remind myself I existed. He said it sounded wrong, like I didn't believe it myself. Minutes of repetition, my own voice, my own phone number, my own name, used by something that needed convincing I was real. I have no memory of any of it. The Reddit thread lit up. Responses poured in, terror, confusion, and theories that only made it worse. The fact that the calls are logged from your number, that's not memory loss. Something else is happening here, and it's terrifying. Check your phone bill. Who's being charged for these calls? That'll tell you if it's spoofing or actually your phone. That's the evidence trail. Ask your family one very specific detail from a recent call, something only you would know. This is exactly right. I'd go further, though. Get them to record the next call if it happens again, or ask them to describe what the voice sounded like. If it's actually her, the voice matches. If it's not, then you've got a real problem. Some mysteries, once started, can only end one way: badly. After days of frantic calls to the phone company and diagnostic visits that turned up, nothing was running out of explanations. The device was clean. No cloning, no hacking, no technical answer. Yet every Sunday, like clockwork, calls kept coming from her own number, with her own voice, from her own phone, and she had no memory of making them. Then she did what the comment suggested. She called her dad and asked him a specific detail from their last call, a detail only she would know. I found out where the calls were coming from, and I wish I hadn't. He told me about a scar on my left shoulder. He said I'd described it during the Sunday call, that I didn't know where it came from. The thing is, I've never told anyone about that scar. I found it 2 months ago and never mentioned it to a soul. But according to my dad, I called him at 3 a.m. and described it perfectly. The shape, the location, how it felt. When he asked about it, my voice changed. He said I didn't sound scared or confused. I sounded clinical, like I was documenting a finding, like whatever is using my voice was examining me from the inside and reporting back. The phone company still has no explanation. My device is clean. The calls keep coming. Every Sunday. And now I understand something worse. It's not using my voice to impersonate me. It's using my voice to study me. It's inside my body, and it's learning what I am. The comment section shifted. The questions changed. And nobody had answers that didn't sound like something from a horror film. Have you had your phone professionally checked for cloning or SIM card hacking? Someone could be using your number without your knowledge. Ask your family one very specific detail from a recent call, something only you would know. See if they all remember the same thing or if the stories fall apart. The mystery of the Sunday calls never resolved. The calls kept coming, and every time's phone rang on a Sunday evening, she had to face the same terrible question. Was that really her on the line? Was it really her voice? Was it still her at all? On to the next one. My wife admitted she's been using candles to trap me in our marriage with binding rituals. Some people have hobbies, others have obsessions, and then there are the ones who weaponize their spiritual beliefs, turning love into control and devotion into a trap. This is the story of what happened when one man finally opened his eyes to 6 years of deception hiding in plain sight. I'm 28 years old, married to my wife, 32 female, for 6 years. Over the past couple of years, she's gotten really deep into tarot, astrology, all that spiritual stuff. At first, it seemed like just a hobby. She'd watch videos, buy decks, read about lunar phases. I thought it was harmless. A little weird, maybe, but harmless. Then it escalated. She started talking about love magic and binding rituals, using candles and chanting to strengthen our bond and lock us together spiritually. I nodded along, whatever keeps her happy. But then I started noticing candles everywhere, hidden in cabinets, under the sink, stashed throughout the house. Hollow candles. I opened one, found my house keys inside, then another, and another. Every single key that's ever gone missing over the years, she'd been collecting them, burning them inside these candles while chanting, trying to bind my heart and soul to the house, to her forever. That's what she told me when I finally confronted her about it. What got me wasn't the ritual. It was how calm she was, how proud even, like she'd accomplished something meaningful and beautiful. When she said the word forever, something inside me went ice cold. She meant it, every single word. He'd uncovered the truth about his marriage. But the worst part? His wife didn't deny any of it. She was proud of what she'd done. And that's when real fear set in. He wanted to laugh. Binding rituals, hollowed candles, his keys hidden like sacred trophies. It sounded like something from a cult documentary. Maybe his wife, 32, female, was just performing, playing with tarot and astrology because she'd gotten too deep into a hobby. Maybe a calm conversation would snap her back to reality. But the way she looked at him when he confronted her, completely serious and unbothered, told him this was real to her. I asked her directly, "Were you serious about this? About the binding ritual?" She looked confused by the question, like I was the one being irrational. "Of course I'm serious," she said. "Why would I joke about something like this? It works. You're still here, aren't you? You've never left me. The ritual is working." That's when I felt it. The shift. This wasn't quirky hobby behavior taken too far. This was something genuinely darker, and I didn't have language for it. I started asking the questions I'd been avoiding. How long has this been happening? 4 years. 4 years of rituals. What else have you done? Everything spilled out like she was proud, like she'd been waiting to tell me. She'd collected things, not just keys, hair, old clothing of mine, things she'd burned while chanting specific words. She described it all in this calm, methodical voice, like she was reading a recipe, and there was absolutely no shame. She didn't see it as obsessive. She saw it as proof that she loves me, that she's protected me, that she's bound me to her so completely that I can never leave. I asked what she'd do if I tried to leave anyway. She actually smiled and said, "You can't. The binding won't allow it. The ritual is too strong now." The comment section erupted. Binding rituals are real to people who believe in them, and that's exactly what makes this so dangerous. She's not joking or playing. She genuinely believes she owns you now. This is obsessive behavior bordering on delusion. Please talk to a therapist and lawyer ASAP. The fact that she kept detailed journals of your movements is legitimately frightening. I already have. The lawyer said to document everything and not tell her I'm planning to leave. That's apparently standard advice for situations like this. The therapist asked me how long I'd known about the journals, and when I said I only found them 2 weeks ago, she said that's recent escalation. I keep thinking about all the times I caught her just watching me, writing things down. I thought it was quirky. It wasn't quirky. The ritual was one thing, but the surveillance behind it all, the constant watching, the note-taking, the meticulous tracking, suggested something far more calculated than magic, and he'd only just begun to understand the scope of it. He couldn't ignore it anymore. The questions started small. Where were all these candles coming from? Why was she so secretive about certain rooms? Once he started looking, really looking, he couldn't unsee what was hidden in plain sight. I spent an entire Saturday going through the house systematically. Closets, under the bed, basement shelves. I found candles everywhere, dozens of them, some with my keys inside, sealed with wax, but others held things I'd never seen before. Photographs of us. Wedding picture, our honeymoon, locks of my hair, actual locks tied with string sitting in melted wax. Pages from my old journals. She'd cut them out and press them into candles like bizarre scrapbooks. My routines, my schedule. Then I found her journals, 5 years worth. I didn't want to read them. Some part of me already knew what they'd contain, but I did anyway, page after page. He wore the blue shirt today, 3rd time this week. Talked to Marcus from work for 7 minutes at coffee. Moved his gym bag to the front closet. Is he thinking about leaving? Every single day. Documented, tracked. The handwriting was neat, methodical, not frantic, not obsessive the way you'd expect. This was deliberate, planned. It wasn't a hobby that spiraled. It was a system. The candles, the rituals, the chanting, just window dressing. The real ritual had been happening all along, quietly, page by page. The fact that she escalated to actual documentation, journals, logs, shows this went beyond spiritual practice into surveillance. That's the scary part. Not the candles, but the premeditation. Even if you don't believe in the magic, her belief in it, plus her surveillance, plus her obsession, equals a person who sees you as property. That's the actual horror here. Exactly. And the scariest part? She's not going to stop just because he leaves. People like this don't see boundaries the way we do. To her, the binding ritual is now in effect. Breaking it in her mind would require some kind of counter-ritual or acknowledgement that it failed. Either way, he's not escaping cleanly. By the time he finished, he understood. His wife hadn't tried to bind his soul. She'd been cataloging her possession. When he finally said the words out loud, "I'm done. This is over," the obsession showed its real face, and her response would strip away every illusion about what the binding ritual actually was. She showed up at my mom's house. I found candles with my name written on the back. I told her Monday night, "I'm leaving." She didn't scream or cry. She smiled like I'd told a joke I didn't understand. "You can't leave," she said. "I won't let you." By Tuesday, she showed up at my office. HR had to call security. On her way out, she told my receptionist I was the love of her life and I was throwing it away. That night, she called my family claiming I was having an affair. A lie. My parents were texting me in panic. Then came the messages. Whispered at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. If I left, she'd hurt herself. She'd overdose. She'd crash the car. If I got a lawyer, she'd destroy me online, post things about me everywhere. And that's when it hit me. The ritual was never about magic. The candles, the chanting, the journals, all theater. The real ritual was control. She didn't want to bind my soul. She wanted to own me. I found her at my mom's house yesterday. She was gone, but she'd left candles everywhere, covering the kitchen counter, my name written on the back of each one in red pen, over and over. The implication hit him like a brick. These weren't offerings to some magical force. They were proof of ownership, labels on property, and she'd just made it clear she wasn't going to let him go quietly. Please get out safely and document everything. Screenshot photos of those journals and candles. This is stalking behavior dressed up as love magic. What came next would force him to choose between his life and his survival. Because leaving wasn't just about walking out the door. It meant escalation he couldn't imagine, and measures he'd never need to take. And so the moment came. He told her it was done. But instead of accepting the end, she spiraled. She showed up at my mom's house. I found candles with my name written on the back. I finally did it. I told her I was leaving. The second the words left my mouth, something switched in her eyes. She wasn't sad. She wasn't even angry. She was strategic. Within days, she showed up at my mom's house. My mom found her sitting in the driveway for an hour. She calmly said she was checking on me, like I was a lost pet. Then I found more candles hidden at my parents' place, dozens of them, taped under the porch, in garage rafters, buried in flower beds, my name written on each one, thick marker, pressed hard. I called the police, got a restraining order, started therapy. She violated it 3 times that week, called from different numbers, had friends message me. My therapist said it plain. This wasn't love. Love doesn't own you. It took 2 months to fully move out. Every day felt like war. But I did it. I'm safe now. The candles are gone. The cost was high. My family's rattled. I still jump when I see a candle. I still wonder about all the rituals we never found. But I'm out. She didn't own me. Her magic was theater, and I stopped playing the part. The psychology of love weaponized is a thing people don't understand. It masquerades as devotion. It wears the mask of care. Underneath, it's ownership. Control dressed up in ritual and soft words. She didn't want to bind his soul. She wanted to own his life so completely that leaving became unthinkable. He escaped, but the victory was hollow. Safety restored is not the same as safety reclaimed. The scars of being owned run deeper than any candle could reach. The comments had plenty to say. I'm getting escalation vibes from this post. The binding ritual sounds like justification for behavior she's been doing for years. Please be careful when you leave. And with that, on to the next one.